Damn, I'm
I had
getting
to
the
take a password
response.
offline because it was causing trouble.
All right.
No.
I'm just going to start. So, hello guys. My name is Kelvin. I'm a 5th year at UCL, and this is my project. This project goes on for the entire year, so we have around 7 months to do it. 8 months, 9 months to do this. And we are around 2 months in and a bit. And how our unit works is that we have 3 terms, and our tutors want to use the first term to fully only to do research and to decide on the thesis question, which then you begin designing with from second term onwards. So from now until December is pretty much for research and figuring out a thesis question. I assume you guys kind of know what thesis question is, but it's just a question to drive your research. What is a thesis question? A thesis question, I guess the question that your project is trying to solve, and a lot of work goes into deciding what this question is, because when you ask a question the first time, it's not narrow enough and it's not in depth enough. There's not enough backing to it, so we try to spend as much time as possible, which is first term, to resolve just the question itself. Okay, cool. So my project. Let's start. Okay, I'm gonna time myself so I don't want to drag on for too long. So we got 8 minutes. Normally we'll get 10 minutes to present in the crit, but this time we only have 8 minutes because I think the tutors wanted us to get more feedback. So that was fine, and I went over a bit. I was like 10 minutes. It's kind of difficult because we've got a good amount of research. All right, let's start. Right, so my project title. Let's make this full screen. Where is it? View. Full screen mode. Let's see how it looks. Looks good. Alright. My project title so far is called All Watched Over by Machines of Loving Grace. And it is about how predictive technologies shape power and agency from ancient divination to quantum computing. So, my research question so far is similar to the subtitle, and it questions how do predictive systems, from ancient rituals to modern quantum computers, structure power and influence human agency. So this is about how we use computers and how computers can have begun, or from very ancient times have helped us control our society and control our society and our human agency. So why do I care about this? Why do we care about this? And how did I even land here? So, and recently there's been a lot of quantum computing news breaking out, because it's saying that quantum computers are around the corner, and we're gonna lose. It's gonna decrypt everything we know, our credit cards, bank cards, all of these things. It will be able to crack once we achieve quantum computers. And this kind of boost in quantum computers relevance started in 2019 when Google announced the breakthrough in their new quantum computer called the Sycamore. And they're saying that this quantum computer has achieved what's called a quantum supremacy. This term means that when a quantum computer has the ability to execute a task that a classical computer can theoretically never complete. And once that happens, that's called what a quantum supremacy is. And that just means quantum computer has broken through this barrier of something that we've never thought that we can achieve with classical computers. And that's what Google declared with their new quantum computer in 2019. And how it proved it is saying that the quantum computer solved a task that would take a normal computer, a classical computer, 10,000 years to solve. And the quantum computer did it in 100 seconds or 200 seconds. So this was the big evidence that they gave in saying that they've achieved the supremacy. And what this made me think, well, looking at my classical computer, which I'm streaming from right now, is what the fuck does that mean? What does it mean when how do you how do you prove that you've solved a task that would take anything else in the world 10,000 years? You can use theories to verify it, but how do you actually know what this quantum computer even does? What does that even mean to me when it can do that? And it just makes me realize how little I know about these technologies, and what is becoming, I guess, on the internet such big deals, and these big tech breakthroughs. To me, I just haven't understood it in pretty much all of my life, what a computer really does, especially what quantum mechanics is, what quantum computer does. Yet we are giving so much information on it, and it's getting money thrown at it, and it's promising all these big things like curing diseases, creating substances, all of that stuff. So I began to try to understand quantum computing, which is a terrible hole to dig for myself. And yeah, this is kind of the diagram of all the information I was able to gather in a week on quantum computer to try to understand it. So let's go through a bit of the basics of at least what I somewhat understand about quantum computing. So the difference between a classical computer and a quantum computer is that a classical computer functions in binary codes, so zeros and ones, on or off. And quantum computer is so on and off, a light switch, right, on and off. And a quantum computer is more like a clock. The pointer can point anywhere around on and off, so it can be 10% on and 90% off. It can be 11% on, whatever, 89% off. So there's now this percentage, this probability of it being on or off, and that's called a quantum state of a superposition that it can be in either on nor off until you like make it on or off. It's weird, but you basically, once you observe it, it becomes on and off. But before you observe it, it can be anywhere around that spectrum. And I'm not going to go into the other stuff. That's pretty much what is quantum about the quantum computer. What quantum means. How it functions, there's like different forms of qubits, superconducting or ion qubits or photon-based qubits. Superconducting just means it's created from a superconducting circuit, and these are the qubits that are the most stable right now, so it's the ones getting used the most. It's sent through a quantum computing gate, so this is me trying to get a rough understanding of this entire system. It gets sent through the gate. There's more extra qubits that are stored. There's imperfect qubits, which are used. There's many informed qubits make a perfect qubit, and the perfect qubits help monitor the other qubits and make sure that they are stable. It doesn't make any sense. And once it gets passed through the gate, it becomes, what I mean by superposition. It can have multiple outcomes at once, and it gets observed by this sensor, which uses radiation to observe the qubits and see if it's on and off. And then that gets passed through this display, and all of this thing it's cooled to the temperature of space, outer space, which is Kelvin, absolute 0 degree Kelvin, me. And yeah, there's this. Imagine a giant air conditioner that's like the coolest air conditioner in the world. That's cooling this thing, and all while this entire thing, the system, and the cooler and everything is stored in a very not isolated, but very insulated space because qubits are super unstable things. If I like blow wind at it, it's gonna fuck up the entire computer. If like someone farts, it's gonna be really bad. So it has to block all of those things out. So that's roughly what I know about quantum computers and how they work. And then I started to look into more of the architecture. So I guess I can't understand the actual quantum mechanics behind it, but what we can understand is the physical things that it's built from and built with. So looking into just the refrigerator. So it's called a cryogenic refrigerator, the cooling system for the quantum computer, and kind of how it cools it, which I'm not going to go into, but the materials that it takes, the labor that it takes, the cost of purchasing these materials, and the factories that manufacture them, and how they're transported, the companies that are associated with these, and doing similar things. So I'm creating this archaeological site of all the things that make up a quantum computer physically. And so from the cooling system, then to the room, the exact room that the system is in and the quantum computer is in. So this is the entire room. So the room uses floating floors, which can which is extremely good for insulating against vibrations. It uses double walled construction, so it's extremely thick, extremely thermally insulated. The elevators, the HVAC systems, any kind of electrical equipment has to be placed as far away as possible from the machine, because they themselves have, like, I guess even like the smallest pulse, it will cause a lot of damage to the quantum computer. So it's a very solid structure around this room. And outside of this room, we have a cage that is anti-electromagnetic. It's called a Faraday cage, and it covers the entire room. It's like this big copper cage. And then apart from this, how quantum computer gets data is through the cables, the fiber optic cables. And this is some of the most insane fiber optics cables I've seen. It transfers 100 gigabytes per second. Imagine how fast that is. So that's the level of speed it can achieve, and the information that it needs, and also what we're able to give it, I guess, at this point in our technology. And furthermore, it will be the security system that actually protects this entire laboratory of quantum computing, because obviously it's a very sensitive place. There's a whole war going, not war, but there's the race going on between America and China right now to develop the first quantum computer, because you can decrypt everything. You can then hack into anyone's system anytime, anywhere you want. So it is secretive. And I've begun to kind of mapping out all of these systems that allow a quantum computer to function. It traces back to where in the world are these materials found, and also how much overall we need of these materials. So overall, it's around 500 liters of helium, 18 tons of raw materials, a total cost of $1.2 million just for the physical infrastructure to accommodate the computer, and a total of 1,000 tons of excavation needed, so to find these raw materials. So all like the dirt and stuff that you have to excavate to find the raw materials to build this computer. So that is quite a decent amount, And so what does that mean for what does it even do for us? Why do we want this quantum computer so bad? And roughly summed out by the scientists who agree. So no one knows that there's any real world application of this computer. There's no proven application of this. Everything is theoretical. But in the field, most scientists agree that it will be able to manipulate matter at an atomic level, which means that it can create new drugs, it can create more efficient batteries, it can optimize the GPS, it can predict the weather accurately. Basically what it does is that it can take in so much data and process them simultaneously because of the superposition that the qubits can be in, that it can analyze at an incredible, like, it's almost like like a live speed. A real-time speed. So basically, imagine, right, the weather is not that accurate right now because maybe a cloud shifts a bit to the left and that messes up the entire prediction of the weather. But what quantum computer can do is that it can take in the slightest shift of one cloud and redo the entire prediction so that it's always accurate. That's what it's supposed to promise you to do. And that is the most primary function of the quantum computer, is to make predictions, to make extremely accurate predictions based on data, taking a huge amount of data. It's like the more data you take in, the more accurate your prediction is. And what quantum computer can do is take in like a lot of data. I don't know how much, but a lot. So now we've kind of started to understand the quantum computer a bit better, not of its mechanics, but of in theory what it could do and how it functions, which is as a prediction mechanism, something that generates predictions. So looking into predictions in terms of what does it mean to have predictions? What do modern predictions mean? Is it accurate? Is it a reliable source for everyone to trust, and who holds the power to kind of conduct these predictions? So we trace back to kind of the ancient times, the beginning, the original prediction, to try to understand how it's become what it is now, because it's so complicated now that to simplify it, it requires looking into the past, which is more, simple. So this picture is of the Oracle of Delphi in Greece, a place where a lot of these kings used to gather in this temple on the hills, and there will be like she will be like she's the I don't remember her name, but she will be like blazing up weed in like this chamber, and there'll be clouds everywhere, and she'll have like these servants bring stuff to her, and then like she would tell you the prediction of like whatever prediction you want, and you would like believe in it. It's like, oh my god, it's God speaking to me. And this is just an example I just want to talk about. But starting with the most ancient form of prediction, which is predictions are based on the observation of nature. So this includes bird augury and geomancy. Bird augury is the prediction based on observing birds' flight patterns and all kind of other patterns of birds, but mostly flight. And geomancy is literally just following the nature's patterns. For example, the stream goes down to the west, therefore there must be a pond on the west, and there must be fish in it. And the tree grows more on the east side, so the sun must be on the east, and there must be more fruits on the east. So these are literally just public. You're walking around and you kind of try to predict what comes in certain direction, or what comes what direction based on the earth. And I looked a bit more into bird augury, which is, when this is tribal times. There's no cities. There's people just running around in like families, or maybe like a tribe. And what they would do is that the person who's probably usually the leader of the tribe will set up these like sticks which point up at the sky. So they would go high up on the mountains, set up these sticks that divide the sky into east, west, north, and left, right. And then they would make predictions based on the birds flying to left or right, or right to left. And they would literally just make up omens. They would say this is the god's thing, but it really is just their own theory of like flying left or right is good, right to left is good, based on last time. And this was done on the public. So other things they take in is like species of birds, the kind of sacrifices they use, and where the birds land. If they land on a weapon, then it's like it means war. If they land on a stone, it means home or something. But this is 40,000 BC, so this is very ancient. But this was the first form of prediction, completely open, observing nature style prediction. Just remember that part. Second paradigm shift. So I'm studying each paradigm shift from beginning to end the prediction, from ancient times to the current form of prediction, and I'm trying to dissect, how prediction has changed in time. So this is the Göbekli Tepe, 9,000 BC, still old as hell, in Turkey, and this was the first time when prediction rituals were done in a built environment. So this is the first time people actually started building temples and like enclosed spaces to conduct these prediction rituals. So remember, the last one was an open space. This one is now enclosed one. And even from the beginning, you can start to see that there's different scales of different rooms. So predictions will be done in all of these rooms, but there's different scales, meaning that there's different intimacy of kind of, you're allowed to see this prediction, but you might not be allowed to see that one. There's more personal ones and there's more public ones. So the method is now starting to hint at the method being closed off to a certain group of people. Anyways, just remember kind of that the first time done in enclosed space, and the separation of, there's a hierarchy now in prediction. The next one is hepatoscopy, which is my favorite so far. This one is really good. It's really fucking fun. My tutors also really love this. Everyone loves this. 3000 BC, moving a bit ahead now. This is the examination of a animal's liver to predict. Right, this sounds fucking bonkers. This is done in ancient Mesopotamia, and I made a little geographer archaeological diagram for this. But what I only want to point out from it is so hepatoscopy, the examination of a sheep's liver to predict the future. Sounds ridiculous, right? But this is as respected and as institutionalized and as sacred as a quantum computer prediction today, or like a stock market prediction today. Everyone believed in it. This was believed to be the omen of the gods. This is like, I don't know, like Mark Zuckerberg told you that, I don't know, you have to do something. You probably do it. I probably do it. But yeah, this is the goat's liver. So this is different sections, just like the sky did. It's separated in different sections, each representing a god, and any blemishes in each section represent either a good omen or a bad omen. So same thing, looking into the architecture of how these fuck, can't hear shit. Wait, of how. Okay.
And then he's like, it's not Finley.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted by people talking. But yeah, okay, looking into the spaces that this ritual was practiced, which gives a lot of hints of how it's transformed from the previous to now. So this is now in a completely enclosed temple on the very top of a city. So this is the size of a room that this ritual will be performed in. The sheep will be killed, drained, and the liver will be taken out. And also the priest has to fast before this ritual. There's a very strict protocol before he can do this. He has to clean himself, he has to fast. So there's this like power bestowed upon this guy with his two scribes, two like handmans. And they're the only ones that can interpret God's message, so called. And they're the only ones that know how to interpret these messages. That was their job. They're very specific. So this room, drawn based on the most historical thing you can find on the internet scientifically. And once drawing it, can kind of understand how small it is and how little people can actually see this ritual and witness it happening and know what the outcomes are accurately. Everyone else will be on the outside. And this is in a temple which has multiple rooms, multiple shrines of different sizes. And this entire thing is now on a big, huge, giant temple. So this thing is probably like 50, 100 meters. It's a pretty big thing. It's like a soccer field size. And this entire thing is made just for this little ritual to happen at the very top. And that just shows how kind of important this thing is. So now it has become this very sacred thing where only the top people in control can witness the ritual. And what happens is that because of that, the king now has the option to change the input of the prediction as much as he wants. If he gets a result that he doesn't want, let's say he wants to attack the left side to his kingdom to get some more rice, and the sheep liver says, fuck no, like that's bad. The god says no. He will just redo the ritual. He will just get another sheep until there's the right sheep that says his decision is the right one. So in a way, he is now generating the future. He produces the future from what he wants. He just uses this thing to prove it and to like get more power behind his decisions. So this is the main takeaway from hepatoscopy, when prediction became from a place with slight hierarchies to now being completely controlled by the highest power. And yeah, he controls this entire city. This ritual helps him control this entire city, all of these people, and helps him wage wars against other nations. It's become kind of a powerful thing. The next prediction paradigm shift is the Antikythera mechanism. So this is the first computer that we humans have ever created. This is in ancient Greece, 100 BC. And they used this clock thing to predict solar cycles. So this was the first time that prediction was embodied into a machine. So now no longer was a huge ritual necessary, or this prediction is the first instance where a machine or a non-human parts are creating predictions. And moving forward to the monastery, where the first clock was implemented to regiment this segmented daily life cycle. So time, which is an artificial creation by us, now functions as a prediction mechanism for what to do during the day, or how much prediction of how much time certain things take and what things happen at what time. So the monastery was the first to use these clocks, and they will have really rigid cycles of what to do at what time of the day, using these machines. And the next one will be bringing these clocks to the public. So the Strasbourg astronomical clock, which gave this artificial time to the public. So now the public began to function based on this system of predictable time segments of the day. And this is slightly a jump. But so now we have prediction as something structured for the very powerful to control, and we have prediction as something that has seeped into our daily lives as well, in terms of clocks. And now this is the next shift of the bomb machine. This is the machine that decoded the Enigma in the imitation game, if you guys have seen it. I don't know why they have never mentioned the name of this machine. I don't remember it calling bomb, but this is what Alan Turing theoretically invented. So the bomb machine, 1940, this is the first case of a prediction mechanism being used to defend an entire nation. And this is when, I guess, computers are getting more on the rise as well. So yeah, the machine uses multiple drums to imitate the function of the Enigma and to reverse code the decryption in order to decrypt the messages. And obviously it has a lot of drums, each one representing an Enigma, so it could try out so many variations at the same time. And this was kind of the shift of prediction still being half a ritual because of the amount of people it would take to reset these machines constantly to try out different variations and different letters, but also kind of prediction being a thing that was done by both humans and machines at the same time. And also you use these machines to predict bombs, where bombs are dropped, what time they're dropped. And now prediction is used to predict against enemies' actions, defend against the system which you hold power of. So this obviously is kind of this is ordered by the government. This is done for the state to defend itself, defend the power structure that it already holds with prediction mechanism. So now prediction controls both the inside, controls the people of this country via things like predicting weather or things like that, and also controls the defense of this entire state. So it defends against exterior as well. So it controls interior and defends against exterior. And the next paradigm shift of softwares. So this is when we can now store instructions, programs inside of this. At this time, it was like really. And this time it was. I can't zoom in. At this time, it was stored in these like paper slips that had dots in it, and dots represent instructions. But this was the first time when we don't have to manually control all the functions of our machines. We can store things, tell it to do what it does, and we can just sit there and watch it do these predictions for us. This is the EDSAC, which was invented in Cambridge, and this was mainly to help scientific studies and produce and to look through a large amount of data. And what you notice from the plan drawings is that from the previous bomb machine, there's now much less people needed in this room to function, to allow this prediction mechanism to function. So this marks the decline of human physical effort needed to generate predictions, and the incline of I guess computers' ability to take in data. So they're taking in now more data than they could have before. So this is a growth in data intake. Then becomes the next phase of everyone having a prediction mechanism in their house. So this was Apple II when they introduced a homeowner's computer, and this is like the clock. So this is the next phase of the clock. You having this predictionism in your home that you constantly revolve around. So the clock, we live by time. We begin to segment our days by time, schedule ourselves, be more efficient, when to go to bed, when to get up. And now with the computer, which now we live around as well. We do work on it. We sometimes, a lot of times, relax on it. We use it to see what the weather is going to be like, what the stock market is going to do, what's coming up next on sports, or placing bets, all of these things. So now this prediction, we feel like we have control over predictions. We can make predictions ourselves. with these hardwares and softwares. But what I think the point is with this is that these machines have been designed by somebody else, and these softwares have been designed by somebody else. Hardware and software is not different. You can't just have this computer that's 100 years old and you run a super new software on it. That's not how it works. You can't do that because the hardware can't function. Can't handle the software. So software and hardware needs to be constantly moving up together.
That's your name.
And sorry.
Yeah. By the way, anyone who's wondering, Showay's new nickname
And
is
and
Showball.
hardware has just as much control over what you can do than software.
Whatever.
And so you're using this machine that gives you the free will of, I can do all of these things, but everything that you can do is still being produced by someone else. So you can never do something that someone else's software or Google software is not letting you do, right? There's still this limitation. So it's like a magic trick when someone gives you a deck of cards and you picking a card out and you're like, you obviously you probably don't think you're actually gonna cheat the magician, but you'd be like, oh, I've picked something myself, so in a way maybe this will mess up his trick, but it never does, because he anticipated for you to do your action within the system that he's already designed himself, which will always generate the outcome that he wants. So in a way, we're using prediction machines to predict things that we want, but really the answers we get are already predetermined by someone else. And this is even more. So if you didn't understand what I was saying, you understand a bit more now with this, I think. So this is the next stage of supercomputers. So these are computers that can take in huge amount of data, like at very incredible like accuracy and a lot. Like, this is what Instagram, Facebook, social media all uses. And I just started watching The Social Dilemma yesterday. My tutor recommended. And
Why would you agree?
has anyone watched it? It's so good. Or at least I'm having such a epiphany from watching it. Because, everything my tutors told me about my project, I think somewhat relates to the movie as well, which I feel like I should have just watched it and then I'll be so much more ahead of this. But Social Dilemma really talks about what I'm about to say, is how social media companies, even Google, right? Google, Facebook, Instagram, all these things, they're free. How are they free? When something when something is free, this is set by the ex-employees of all these big companies. Like some people will be like co-founders of Facebook and stuff. So what they sell is not, what does Facebook sell you? They sell you ads, right? But what is it? Who pays Facebook? How you don't pay Facebook? I don't pay to use Google or to use Instagram, right? Who pays them? Who pays them are huge companies that want to sell products. For example, I have a company on selling diapers. Right? Who am I going to pay to advertise this? I'm going to pay Google, Facebook, Instagram. And how do they advertise it for me? Is they sell things to their users. So they can control their users so well and manipulate them into buying things that they are now getting paid by other companies to sell you things. So they're like this middleman. And also, if you think about it another way, they are selling your information to the diaper companies so that, or they're selling you. Okay, I was saying this really badly. They said it in such a cool way. But you get what I mean. So Facebook, Google, what makes them money is your data, is how they build an accurate model of you, how you function, what you like, what gets you to stay on the phone for a little longer, what makes you happy, what makes you sad. And they build up this giant profile on you. They can hear you, right? They can hear me as I speak and talk about this thing. I'm presenting on YouTube right now. I'm using Google to spend on them. They know everything I do, what I do when I'm happy, what I do when I'm sad, what I do when I wake up. And they sell this data to these companies that want to sell you products and tell them where to fit the products in. So when I'm sad, they will suggest me a product that will help me when I'm sad. When I'm happy, they will suggest me, I don't know, some food, whatever. And how they are collecting all these data and storing them and using it to predict our what we want is these supercomputers. These things are what enables them to give us algorithm like changes in real time. If I don't like a reel, it will give me a different reel. So now it can predict. It can predict our behavior, right? It can manipulate our behavior, and these computers are used to predict our behavior. And this is kind of where we're at. And yeah, so this is kind of the end. But what my next thing is kind of tracing back into quantum computer and understanding all the infrastructures in detail of what are all the physical things needed to make this predictions happen, and whether that is still similar. Is there similarities between how quantum computers currently function to how rituals functioned back in the days? Because I think we have this instinct to think rituals are more malleable than computers, right? Like a temple, if someone is religious, what they predict is less accurate than what a computer predicts. Well, I guess what Jesus predicts is less than what a computer predicts, maybe. Or you can kind of change this human to like the ritual, like the diviner. More people were required for rituals back then than for quantum computers today. So does that mean, what are the differences that makes with less people now involved in prediction? And maybe finding out about exactly how quantum computers predict all the people and the infrastructures that goes into it, and whether it has to be, can it be used in other ways other than to manipulate people and collect people's data and manipulate people and to sell by big tech companies to other companies who want to make a profit. So that, I think, is the current research question. I have the notes from my tutors and the feedbacks from my crit, and if you guys are interested, I can read it to you guys just to give you an image of what some tutors' feedback is on my presentation. And also, obviously, you're welcome to give feedback whenever you want. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's where I am so far, and I think there's a lot more research to be done. What do you guys think? Was that very confusing? I was locked in. Oh, God. All right, let me read some chat. Hello, Alpha. Farming data. I Ching is cool. I Ching so too. If you looked at the Ching for the I Ching. I see what you're saying. For the religious part, but it was like based in math. That makes a lot of sense, but well put together. Thank you very much, Cootie. I thought about this farming data thing before you put it all like but you put it all like really nicely. Thank you, boss. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing you've seen The Social Dilemma? Bro, that movie is blowing my mind. It's my whole project. But I don't know what I haven't finished the movie. I don't know what they suggest at the end. And, yeah, hopefully I can build on that. But what are, because like, we've been doing just research, right? From my presentation, you can see it's pretty much just like, it's pure research. I'm not designing anything. I'm literally just tracing scientific like studies of the past, and like I think and that's also quite a big question for a lot of us in the unit. But I think how they're saying their design strategy is to understand something first, which is completely fair, and then I think what they want might be to pick a counter movement. So you have all of the social dilemma thing of like big tech company manipulating data, manipulating people through collecting data and using predictions to generate the future. Oh, okay. Something I forgot to say. Right. Something I forgot to say about quantum computing. Very important. The more data, so I think most of us can agree, the more data that a computer can take in, the more accurate we'll believe its predictions to be. So, for example, back in the days, the bomb machine, you can only take in a few data to predict these bombs. And now we have supercomputers that can take in hundreds of thousands of millions of people's data at once. And, okay, that's a bad example. Let's say weather app. The more weather data it can intake, the more accurate output it can output. That's fair enough to say, I think. It's like, it's like saying what food I like based on what I tell you I like. What food you predict that I will like if I tell you what I like. And if I tell you that I like 3 foods, it will be harder than if I told you 20 foods that I like to predict what else I like. You know what I'm saying? So now what the thing with quantum computers is that it will be able to take in so much input that will automatically kind of believe that it will produce a very accurate prediction, which is fair. Probably, scientifically, I guess it can. But also, the question is who controls quantum computers and who controls the data that it takes. Because you can falsify data quite easily. You can, when Google said they achieved quantum supremacy by this computer doing an equation super quickly, how do you prove that? You can't. They don't show you what data it's doing. You don't show you how they're doing it. It's like a stock market. Let's say this fucking big bro on Instagram is trying to sell you his stock market prediction formula for $5.99, and he says, oh, we're taking inputs from XYZ stock prediction markets, and now I generate my prediction through this algorithm. It's like magic. I can't tell you exactly how it works, but it works. And versus this other guy that says I take in thousands of stock markets in real time, and I have this algorithm that's like 3 pages long, and I generate these outcomes. You would more likely believe someone that takes in more data to generate his outcomes, because we think that's how reality works. The more things we consider, the more rational our kind of reasoning is, which is fair, completely fair. But the thing is, we don't know what these big companies take as data. They can use very biased data, but we will never be able to verify it because the sheer quantity that they will just fuck you with, right? You're not gonna know how Instagram builds your algorithm. They're never gonna show you that. It'll probably be pretty bad if they do show you that. So yeah, now I think the question is, who is controlling quantum computer? What are the trajectories that they want for themselves, and how might they be selectively taking data to generate a future that they are happy with themselves? It's not for our benefits, but it's more so for them or for the investors. So these are very few people's benefits rather than, I guess, us. Yeah, I think I'm done yapping. Sorry, Cootie, I'm gonna read. I don't know if you looked at the Ching for the religious part, but it was like based on math. I Ching, let me see. I've heard of this thing. Yeah. I've seen these. Yeah, I could have easily used that as well. I think these are very. That's also a very good example. But yeah, the thing is, it's like how these things work, like I Ching or like hepatoscopy. It was literally as formalized as quantum computers today, and it was just as important to the society's function as, let's say, supercomputers are today. So I guess it's about kind of figuring out the differences and like really comparing them, which I still need to do. Yeah, but I'm going to look into the quantum computers. I'm going to study it, compare it, find out how some people might already have. There's definitely people that already has ideas about this before, and to learn from what they're doing. And I think our tutor's methodology is to intensify what they're doing. And let me tell you a little fun story of what one of our tutors said the other day, of the rhythm, the song. So he says he sees the world as a collective song, a melody, right? A melody is what he calls it. So we all have a collective melody, and maybe that is to drink water, or nature is good, right? Everyone kind of follows this rhythm and this melody, and they vibe to it. But there might be certain people that, what is it? That begins to unsync from this rhythm, and they go into their own little rhythm. Maybe someone is like, maybe my skin, I have like vampire skin, and nature is not good for me, or I have a problem walking and stuff, and I don't, nature is not my default choice. It doesn't affect me like everyone else, because there are differences in certain people. So they then have to start creating their own little rhythm melody to live by, because they cannot conform to everyone else's. And that's what we're trying to find with quantum computers and these kind of projects, which is there's this general belief in computers, predictions, technology, and you have to find pockets of people who might have already started leaving this melody and started singing their own song and seeing what they say and see if you can join in. So obviously it's I could have found quantum computers great, and I think I'm not like against technology by any means. I fucking love technology. That's why I chose quantum computers. I really chose it because I love high-tech stuff, and I love aesthetics. I love machines. I love air conditioners for some reason. The bottom of air conditioners, they're very pretty. But yeah, I've kind of found an interesting topic of how quantum computers could be used by big tech companies in a bad way. So now I'm trying to find other people that might have had this thought with me and amplify what they're trying to do. So that's kind of design methodology that we use. Don't know why I'm telling you guys, but maybe it's interesting. Right. No, it makes a lot of sense, but well put together. Thank you very much. I thought about this farming the other thing before you. Like before one day. I'll watch it. These ideas are brilliant. Thank you, Alpha. Yeah, I took a very long presentation because I feel like oh Jesus Christ, that was like half an hour. But yeah, my actual crit was like 10 minutes. Let me tell you what they said. They had some pretty interesting conceptual brain wank. So we had like 4 critics, like a few people from the AA, and like one material specialist who only speaks when there's materials involved. So he was dead silent in my crit, and then there's some other people who were like looking at my drawings and like, but it didn't really. I don't know how much they know about quantum computers. So first thing they said, need to have a question for critics. So I didn't. Okay, this might be useful for you guys too if you guys are doing crits. But like, you should ask a question at the end of your session. You should like point in a very narrow way if you know where your project's kind of going, what you're interested in. You should ask them a question. Why prediction? So these are not necessarily all the things I will take in, but these are just comments. Why prediction rather than divination? So divination is kind of what hepatoscopy was called. So this was more to do with like a religious thing, communication with God. So why do I phrase it in prediction rather than divination? Is quantum computer, can it be framed in like a more ritualistic way? Prediction. These are I literally just write down everything they say, and sometimes they say something, they don't finish it, so I'm trying to skim through that. Much easier to go specific to general than to go general to specific. I don't know what that means. Have very specific thing I'm looking at. Prediction, not divination, for a reason. Using very scientific methods. That I think, yeah, I am using more scientific methods. Isn't it about having a model? Comes from observation of how things behave. Yeah, so it's about building a model of how things behave, and that thing is what is super fucking powerful. If you can predict the action of all these people, then you can control these people. You can predict and manipulate the action of these people, then you control these people. So there's this book called The Atlas of Anomalous AI, which is a collection of pre-computer examples of how humans imagined AI, which just sounds super fucking cool. But the book is sold out right now, sadly. But it has like cool imageries of what people thought God looked like, which is like a tree of like 5 suns on it, or like a, like a biblical accurate angel thing. It's like some weird looking things. Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov. Yeah, I think that's the book. What is it actually? But it's I think it's supposed to be the father of all science fiction. It's like the very first science fiction, which imagine a future where algorithms algorithms can predict everything and knows everything. I don't know, I haven't really looked into it that much. Future. Somehow there is an unknown of the interest of how I've drawn these things. Not the mechanics of the machine, but the institutions that built them. They're all made by people, and their requirements that has enabled the machine to work. Maybe this will point to sight. So I think this is talking more about how I can start to understand the intention of big companies like Google, Facebook, and them, is by looking at who built them, why they're built, what environments they're built in. I'm trying to get into the mind of the Zuck and like see how he wants the world to work. So yeah, so someone said I'm not trying to build the next version of quantum computer, but trying to understand how it exists, which of course. There is right, and there's this book called The Open, which is supposed to be fucking sick. It's by Gilroyd Gambin. The Open. It's a book about the distinction between man and animal, between human and animal, and how we cannot understand, we cannot achieve an enlightenment unless we stop understanding ourselves as separate to animals. But it's not just like we understand ourselves separate to animals, but it's about not separating us to limit the knowledge, to limit the understanding of ourselves. So it's like understanding everything as if you've never seen anything before. And it's called a realized nihilism. But it's saying that you can't just forget about all the constructs. You need to actively fill it in with new ways of thinking, or else the emptiness left by the constructs will just be filled in by manipulative systems, such as, algorithms, social algorithms, and you will not achieve this freedom of free agency. So you have to actively empty out historical constructs, but fill it in with new ways of perceiving the world. That's defined by your thinking, I think. I haven't read the book, so I don't know. And then once you do that, then it's called the open. And before you do that, it's called the closed. So maybe I'm trying to see what quantum computer means. It's the open with the closed, or in a superposition of being both at the same time. Idea of secrecy, amount of clearance you need to work on one of these technologies. Yeah, facts. I need to look into that. Traditions of rituals in a protected environment. Where do you put the boundary of knowledge? So where do you spatially, who gets to know, who doesn't get to know? So institution decides what info gets taken in order to generate their predictions, and they also have the ability to manipulate us into following how their predictions say things should work. How complex is the set of data? The more complex, the more believable. And how do you even interpret data? And the last one, watch Social Dilemma. So that was the general feedback from all of the critics. And I have my personal feedback from the tutors specifically, which is definitely going to be more important. And what I have is how does quantum computing organize and reorganize entire worlds of agency, knowledge, and practices?
My little brother last night. My little brother and two of his friends went to Berlin for 24 hours yesterday.
Why?
And they went to see some shit.
Okay, my writing is so
They didn't sleep.
jumpy.
And they stuck.
I guess maybe my tutor's words are jumpy. Tendency is to look at what is so interesting about ancient Mesopotamia. Can we understand through spatial and roles of people, like all the people involved in preparing, such as the priests, the hierarchy of priests and its architecture, networks of actors, priests,
He's doing like his own crit.
to understand what this ritual does, and to throw the same question at the contemporary, at the quantum computer. It's not just a machine with exalted rationality. It has to be mined. There has to be millions of lives that organize how to produce this thing. There's people that order it and pay for it. So yeah, look at these things and the environments that need and the caretakers that needs for the quantum computer. Cool. The Rule of Experts, another book recommended. I need to look at it. I haven't seen it yet. Right. So when you had the rise of hepatoscopy, it was offsetting. It replaced a lot of other methods of prediction to maintain itself as the particular most prominent form. So, and to do this, what portion of society is it predicting? Is hepatoscopy predicting? And what society part of society is it trying to control? So that's quite, I guess, it's quite straightforward. It's obviously kind of the most powerful group of the society using hepatoscopy to control the rest. And it would displace all of the methods of prediction that the rest of the society uses for their predictions, and saying that hepatoscopy is the ultimate, most powerful way of prediction. And I guess looking at quantum computers do that. He said, throw into ChatGPT academics to find books and articles about quantum computer. Very good suggestion, and gave me a good ChatGPT mode thing to look at as well. So I'll look into that. Watch Social Dilemma film again. And then he gave me this big level question, which he says is the big question you're trying to answer at the end. And it made me shiver my timbers a little bit. I was also quite excited. He just dropped me my entire thesis question, which I was very thankful. Is the controlling of future behavior in architecture is it to be inherently used for asymmetrical political control, or can it be used for something else? So can quantum computer only be used by big tech companies to prioritize their interests, or can it be used for something else that benefits more of us? Good ass question, bro. Difference between ritual and computation, the crystallization of labor, life, and political relationships. So I think this means viewing quantum computers as a more embedded system that's more rigid and less changeable, less malleable than rituals. Because of the amount of infrastructure, the amount of manpower and money and all these things, the securities that goes into it. So is it much harder to revolt against the quantum computer than it would have been to like kill the king of ancient Mesopotamia, So yeah, that's what crystallization means. It's like how deeply ingrained is quantum computer compared to rituals. Right. I'm going to do a split screen study of a ritual versus a quantum computer. So I think it will be a video of a ancient ritual conducted on the left, and maybe a kind of a quantum computer functioning on the right, which should be pretty fun. And there's another Langdon winner, something artifacts politics I have to look at. Raniero Panzier, someone else who wrote some good stuff. And yeah, studying these things through drawing, film, and vivid pictures. Cool, yeah, that's what he said. That sums up pretty much everything I know about my project right now. I've told you guys everything, pretty much. Yeah. Right. My chest hurts. Any feedback? Guys, is this your time to shit on me? I'm just embarrassed myself in front of an entire studio of people by talking for fucking 40 minutes. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. What book? I think The Foundation by Asimov is a good one about prediction and math. Yeah. Damn, you know that one? I've never heard of it before. There's a show too. Both are just called Foundation. Asimov's a legendary sci-fi dude. Damn, Cootie, you got some good knowledge in you. Respects. Thank you very much. I will look into that. What mode was that? Sorry, I don't remember what I was saying. God damn. If no one wants to have any questions or anything, I might end the stream soon and see if I can post this as a shorter video, because YouTube is kind of cringe. They don't let me download my streams in 180. So like I can't, if I edit it and repost as videos, it will be like 720p, and that's kind of mid. So I think I'll try to cut this one down, maybe just in this format. External sites, there's like extensions for it, I think. You can like download videos, but YouTube is really has a stronghold on not letting other people download its stuff. If you know any external sites, please let me know. That melody thing was nicely explained. Thank you. I think I did such a shit job explaining these things. The ones I use are like whack, so I wouldn't recommend. Literally just Google it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to use OBS to record my own YouTube stream for 9 hours straight, so I don't really know how I'm gonna turn my streams into shorter form videos, like compilations of sort, but we'll see. Maybe you'll just have to be 720p, which is a shame, really. Inspires you for your thesis? No way. You're doing it on computer too? Yeah, I'm pretty excited to write thesis. I think this unit is really good for writing, because I feel like, this is a good amount of research just to find out what to design, like not having design at all. A city bridge. How did this inspire your city bridge thesis? Great, I'm curious. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Ah, Jesus. Was that a good stream? No one's responding to me except for my OGs. Come on, I'm trying to build some relationships here. But maybe, wonder if my dad's watching. Keep streaming, keep posting, you'll grow. You think? My dad sent me this message the other day. He's like, "I'm watching your streams. I think you're producing too long of like forms of content, and like you should keep it to like short, like your first video. I think you need to make it good and short." Which like I completely understand, but I don't really have time to make good short videos during school. Yeah, it would be lovely. Yeah, it should be sure is to grow. Damn, Cootie, who are you, man? Do you work for Facebook? That's on the point, I think. But yeah, I'm so bad at actually working out how how to grow stuff. I just do this for fun, to be honest. But I am dreading that I will probably have to go work for practice after all of this. But yeah, working sucks. I don't like to work for practice. A big practice, especially. But yeah, just trying to make a good project, man. Pull an archigram. Shin, do you want to? Oh shit, it's not Finn. But archigram are just like they also just had to work in practice, and they would gather on the weekends to chat shit, and get pints and chat shit and draw, which sounds like the life. So I probably have to get a job. My dad wants me to go to New York, to be fair, which will be like the epitome of mind control. Hello, Marcus. Marcus, were you here for the entire thing, or were you here for at least part of it? Good, I'm good. How are you? Infiltrate. Perfect. Nice. Good to have you. Yeah, maybe. I'll just be mad depressed though. I think part of architecture, the bad side is that I've had such an enjoyable time doing it that everything else I do is kind of shit. Like school has been so fun that I think practice just becomes a bit underwhelming. That's my personal struggle. Too bad I'm not doing a project about it. I probably understand it a lot more. NPL plus emotionalism is taking the last train to the coast, so to speak. Gotta run. Take care, yo. You're crazy, man. Good luck with that. Take care. Okay, I guess. What the fuck? I guess if no one else has questions, I will fuck off. Get some food. Fuck, bro, there's 8 people watching. It feels so weird to end it. You know what I mean? I'm holding on to hope. YouTube is manipulating me. It's directing traffic to my site. Alright, I'm gonna go against the rhythm, the melody, and drop off. Fit check, 10 out of 10. Yeah, I'm really wearing a bit of brighter color today, so you guys can see me a bit better. I'll do a full screen goodbye. Alright, guys. Goodbye, guys. Take care. Love you all. Thank you so much for watching today. And yeah, any suggestions, any comments on making content, anything at all, just say it at any point. I really appreciate it because I'm literally just focused on school 90% of the time that I don't really got time to think about other stuff. So any suggestions is greatly appreciated. Yeah, and I will try to stream tomorrow. I think I should be at school tomorrow. But I literally haven't taken the day off since the crit, so it's kind of fucked. Like we had a crit on Monday, and then we had a tutorial on Wednesday to like refine the feedback that we were giving in the crit. So we have one day to prepare another research question that's refined, and then so Tuesday was that, and then Wednesday we had another tutorial, which is yesterday, and now I'm here, and I have to make a presentation for tomorrow. I have to do something. So yeah, a lot of shit going on. So hope you guys are all well. All right, take care, people. Goodbye.